Good afternoon, everybody. Areej Mahmoud, Creative Director of Leo Burnett. Who are your favorite writers?
I think Henry Miller is one of my favorite writers. I have a lot of appreciation for his freedom.
Who is your favorite hero of fiction?
Batman.
Why? Why do you love Batman?
He's the only one who doesn't have superpowers. He's a very human character. He's much more flaws than virtues, and the fact that he's a hero comes from a lot of his we're in university, I can't say fuck-ups, but his fuck-ups.
هلا لازم فعلا نقول مساء الخير.
What do you consider is the role of advertising into 21st century?
I think at some point there was a saturation of what we used to know as advertising. People know everything. They know what your product is made of. They know how it works. They know what they can use it for. People are smart. They're much smarter than we are. People are more interested in advertising that is in itself a product that they want to be entertained.
But don't you think that there's an opportunity for a bigger role in advertising?
Communication or advertising has always played a role in history in changing things. And in Leo Burnett we say changing how people think and feel and live. Whether it changes it for the sake of eventually selling a product, or whether it changes it for the sake of a bigger purpose. In the end, it's a communication, it's a science and an art of communicating. It changes the world.
إذا حكيت شو رح تفرق؟ شو رح يقولوا العالم؟ بكرة بتكبر وبتنسى. اللي صار ليوقف يصير بدك تحكي.
Tell me, how happy are you with your creative performance?
I don't think I'm happy or satisfied, and I think that's a blessing. But the moment I'll be happy, I think, and satisfied, I think I don't think you're happy and satisfied either, and that's also why you're still doing what you're doing.
What qualities you will search for a young creative?
There are a few qualities. I think one is culture, and I don't mean by culture that they've read a lot of literature, but I mean by culture that they're aware of what's going on in the world.
What would be the second quality that you would ask?
Hunger for doing something different. Passion, I think, is very important.
How much do you do to train your young creatives?
I think we all need to be reminded all the time of what we can do versus what we can't do. It's very easy to sink into what we cannot do, because the whole world conspires against the creative all the time, and your client conspires against you, production limitations conspire against you, deadlines conspire against you. It's very easy to fall into a place where you start thinking, where you start going with the system, where you stop thinking that you're going to take control of the system, and the system takes control of you. So I think the most important role I should always play is try to remind people I work with of what they can do versus what they cannot do.
It's maybe an unusual question, but the campaign you did for Johnny Walker was about encouraging young people to stay in the country and be inspired by those who did. And all the statistics was about how much media exposure you got. But is there any statistics how this room is full of students? Anybody got inspired to stay? So what was the creative legacy results of your amazing campaign?
It's really great working on the ground like that with the mantra, like keep walking, because it has a very human The purpose. Keep walking, whether Johnny Walker exists or not, should be something that we should be inspired from as a country.
I was just wondering if, since we're talking about creative legacy, because I believe it's a fantastic campaign, and I'm somebody that came back 7 years ago and having been abroad all my life, but I look at all the people I work with and they don't necessarily want to stay here. So I just wondered if you're taking it to the next level.
If this would answer your question, we used to have, we used to get adapt sometimes work from abroad for Johnny Walker that was done in other countries, and the level of engagement was never getting as high as it's getting with the Bernard Khoury campaign and the Nadine Labaki campaign, which means that people are, there is a sentiment that's being answered.
تحدي إنه قدر طلع من حيلا إنسان شيء أو لحظة حقيقة.
How would you define happiness in creativity?
It's a moment when after 6 or 7 hours in a room of a few people bouncing ideas back and right and feeling frustrated that the idea is not coming, and then someone says something and someone else builds on it, and then the idea comes in.
Are you happy?
I don't know how to answer this question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.